today, so spent a lot of time working on these. I did a tropical update video because it was going to be long. I didn't want people to be bored with it, so I'm making a separate video for the local forecast. Excuse me, or the national forecast here. We can see where we have the current hazards. We have flood watch for a good portion of the southeast today. Most of Georgia, parts of Alabama, parts of the Panhandle, of Florida, with heat advisories for southern Florida, southeast Texas, far southwestern Texas, excuse me, with flood watch in northern Texas to the Panhandle of Oklahoma, with extreme heat warning for the desert southwest, extreme heat watch for the uh, just to the north of that, into red flag warnings in those areas, and a little bit different color red there. So, why all the flood watch here? Well, we have ongoing rainfall, especially in the northwest and towards Atlanta today. However, they just issued a flood watch for central, a larger portion here, just at 8 a.m. And out west here, we have an MCS that is moving through, if it's in an MCV, moving through the middle part of Oklahoma. The forecast to weaken over time, and some flood watches there, some flood warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. And of course, we have the possibility of a tropical system developing off the coast either today or tomorrow. In the discussion about the flood watch here, they're talking about the possibility of up to 5 inches of precip in the coming days. Not so much of an issue necessarily long term for middle Georgia, but in the northwest Georgia, especially in the mountains, they've had a lot more rainfall. And of course, along the coastal areas as well. So, given that, we'll look at the rainfall, excessive rainfall outlook. You can see where for day up in the Trail Z, which is just this is today's outlook. So we have a slight risk in the southern Georgia, kind of bisecting the state into parts of Alabama, Panhandle of Florida here, and marginal risk surrounding it. This is a stalled frontal boundary that continues to pester us here. And we have also a large marginal risk along a boundary that's setting up in the middle part of the country, which attendant to that MCS MCV, the flood risk there. As far as flood risk goes, so this is the precipitation amount expected today. So widespread amounts of up to 1 to possibly 2 inches of rain today, especially in southern Georgia. Northeast, northern Texas, Oklahoma, South Dakota. You can see that, where the QPF is the highest. QPF is just the quantitative precipitation forecast. And of course, where the tropical system is, or potential tropical system is here over the Atlantic. We go to day 2. That precipitation bullseye over Georgia moves further north into central Georgia and along the Gulf Coast. I kind of we get more of a up here, and let's go back to just a rainfall outlook. Yeah, we have marginal risk up here in Montana, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, into middle Georgia again, and into the panhandle of Florida, and marginal risk surrounding it. It was day 3. That threat moves a little farther to the north. Middle Georgia has a bullseye on it. Again, and into Atlanta. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is upgraded to moderate. Depends on where the greatest rainfall amount set up the next couple days. The marginal risk in the North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana. Excuse me. We go on to day 4. Thankfully, in the southeast, it's just eastward. Although in southern and Florida and South Georgia, and we have a marginal risk in those areas. Day 5, it's just further to the east here in North Carolina. Stays in North Dakota and Minnesota. So if we look at total PPF through day 3, the most precip expected let's see, cumulative, let's go multi-day. Day 1 through 2, which is today to tomorrow, expecting a bullseye of potentially 3 inches or more, all in, and mostly in Georgia, in the western part of Georgia, really, and of course along the coastlines here, and the areas where we talked about earlier in the Midwest here, up into the Great Plains and Northern Plains here. Day 1 through 3, loading change a lot. Wonder why that is. Day 1 through 5. We have an expansive area of possibly up to 5 inches of rain in most of Georgia, the panhandle of Florida, with the most extensive amounts up in the northern high plains, Midwest, up into Canada. So you see the biggest threat for the southeast, at least, is heavy rainfall and flooding in the next several days. And if we go out day 1 through 7, the totals don't change a heck of a lot, so that tells me there's not a lot of additional precip, but saturated ground during this time, especially the first couple days. We definitely have to keep our eyes open for this. So we're talking about, next I'm going to talk about severe weather. So here's the forecast discussion for today. First of all, I'm going to go over briefly, I'm going to go over the mid-level full pattern and what's driving the heat in the desert southwest and why we have such stagnant weather in the southeast and the severe weather potential on the front range here in Hill Country. You can see starting off, this is the latest HRRR model run. We have, enhanced flow with the MCS MCV moving through Texas, Oklahoma this morning. This high pressure system builds to the north, northeast some, with the jet streak going over the Rocky Mountains, enhancing the winds here. And that's really primarily what's driving. You can see the deep layer shear over the areas where the severe weather is expected today. And if we look at the categorical severe weather, sure enough, we have it in the Oklahoma Panhandle, Texas Panhandle, on the front range of the Rockies, marginal risk extending further up Nebraska, South Dakota, and into Oregon and Idaho. And that's driven primarily by Although we have a 2% tornado risk, wind 15%, 5% wind risk. I would be surprised this might be upgraded to a hatched area later today, just seeing how the environment evolves. Hail with steep blast rates and favorable photographs likely lead to at least hail possibility of a 10% greater chance of hail within 2 inches or more in diameter, which is can really hurt you to get hit by it. That being said, I'm gonna go over one like a photograph, basically a sounding, a simulated sounding of that area where we have the most shear and things like that. This is hour 11, hour 18. Sorry, the model run. I'm gonna go back to hour 1. Go through time here. Enhance flow. Basically, a photograph tells us how much instability is in the atmosphere, the dew point temperature spread, storm relativity, a lot of different factors that help us determine if there's going to be tornadoes, things like that. This 89 to 66 dew point spread is more likely to bring the possibility of severe hail and winds, although it's pretty close. Usually you want 20 degrees difference or less. And you can see here the spread becomes less, but we also have more convective inhibition over time. And the photographs here are elongated, but they're a lot of flow from the north here. So interesting setup, most favorable for large hail and high winds, really. And given the dry air loft, relatively steep lapse rates, especially 3 to 6 kilometers, mostly a hail and wind threat. Tornadoes can't be ruled out given the vorticity that might be left over as the storms come over the Rockies. So the rest of severe weather in the coming days, day 2, categorical marginal risk up in South Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, Idaho. Other areas, I'm not sure whether there's a donut there in the middle of Mississippi, Louisiana, but there is. And mostly driven by wind, 5%, hail, 5%, no tornado less than 2% chance. Going into day 3, categorical marginal risk along the hill country here, where storms may develop and move to the east here. The southeast and the northeast and the Midwest recently, but there's really a building threat for high heat risk moving into the desert southwest as a high pressure system builds in over here over time. We go through time here. You can see the heat risk builds. Excuse me. In the desert southwest up into the high plains, northwest, and into up in Iowa, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, and deep magenta in Arizona, which says a lot about how hot it's really going to be. And I'll go over the actual temperatures in a few minutes. But the threat's just a little further east. And these areas up here in the on the Great Lakes aren't really used to this, how hot it could potentially be. So that, of course, it has bigger impacts for them. As far as temperatures go, let's look at what um, let's just look at the heat index. Actually, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go over the ensemble GFS max temp 107, 112 in Desert Southwest. Go through time here. Oops. Let's let the wrong model run. Quite cool here. Not cool, but not that hot. But we're talking hundreds, 90s, 80s, pretty much west of the Mississippi. Keep building over time in the Southwest, likely getting heat indexes approaching 115, 116, 112, even on the front range of the Rockies, 90s, hundreds, into Texas. That's pretty hot, 114, 115. You get the general idea here. And temperatures up to 105 heat index in the middle of the country here. That's and quite hot in the mountains of California as well. Cooling off some in the desert, but not a lot with the heat shifting to the east. You can see heat index values over time here. This is about a week and a half from now. Temperatures may be getting close to above normal back in the eastern U.S., but the hottest temperatures by far, excuse me, I've done a lot of talking today, are in the Texas area, in Oklahoma, in the Midwest, and the desert Southwest. Although getting quite hot along the southeast coast, which is not unusual this time of year. Again, temperatures stay really hot down in the middle part of the country and seem to stay that way till for the foreseeable future. Sorry, guys, but that's unfortunately that's the way it's going to be. So if we go lastly to the future radar here, see that MCS, MCV moving through Oklahoma and Texas, that potential tropical system out here with attendant moisture lagging behind. And it looks to be a push of storms moving in from the southeast, southwest into middle Georgia along the coast here. This model isn't that bullish on storms developing here. You can see where most of the moisture is in the southeast and the upper Midwest, and some in the northwest as well. Of course, that kind of dies off, but the moisture in the southeast continues. It kind of dies off in Texas and stuff. So just kind of to see how that plays out. That's all I got for today, guys. I can't really talk anymore. My voice is kind of starting to go. So hope you all have a great day.